with Cliff Funnell, who's going to talk to us about Framework 7. Everyone's falling over themselves, fighting each other to put money in your hands.
I'm here to give away money. I'm actually very pleased that there's actually an audience for me this week, because seriously, last week I was in Poznan in Poland, and I'd been invited to give a presentation at a brokerage event on service transport, and I was there talking about FP7, and I had, apart from the organisers, 2 people in the audience. and 10 minutes into it, one of them asked for translation services. Then he fell asleep after another 5 minutes. So I've got a 50% hit rate at the moment. So if only 20 of you or something start snoozing, then I'm doing well. Right, Cliff Funnell. I'm contracted to the Technology Strategy Board, Jim's organisation. I'm part of FP7 UK, and we're a network of national contact points in the UK whose role is to provide free advice, assistance, mentoring, coaching, anything we can to assist UK organisations to participate in the framework programme. We primarily want to promote industry because we're supported by the Technology Strategy Board, and one of the reasons for that is that the universities do very, very well, and we're very pleased they do very well, but there's clearly an interest in ensuring that we actually exploit in this country the results of a lot of that technology. So I will assist and help any organisation in the UK, but we're really trying to push companies. I, as I say there, look after surface transport. Surface transport is road, rail, maritime, inland waterways, ports and harbours, etc. But really today I'll be talking about FP7 in its generality. Right, what am I going to talk about? FP7, well, why? How to do it, partner search, a very important part of the whole thing. What happens if I'm successful? Just a couple of examples of funded projects and sources of information. Right. This is probably relevant to any of the talks we've had this afternoon, but it does need to be addressed. Will it address our business needs? I've been in the game a long, long time of support of government funding of R&D, and I've met so many companies who just chase the grants, and those companies very rarely exist for much longer than the next grant, because then the grants run out and they have no products, so all they're interested in is chasing the money. It has to be there to implement your business plan. It's not about chasing the money. I'm sorry if I keep repeating that, but that sometimes is the attitude that people have. And if you're talking about FP7, if you're going to be chasing the money, you're going to be out of luck because it takes too long to catch it. What are our chances of success? I mean, Jim mentioned potentially 1 in 10 at the moment, Technology Strategy Board, because of the success. Under Framework 7, in the area that I work in, it's about 1 in 5. I would actually say it's probably 1 in 2 of good proposals, because there's a lot of bad proposals, and proposals that aren't in the scope miss the obvious things, but I would say you're still 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chance of success. How are we going to participate? Are we going to coordinate proposals? Are we going to just act as a partner? How much time will we need to commit as an organisation? Is it going to get in the way of our day-to-day business? Who is going to do the work in the organisation? And how close am I to the market? What are the benefits? Well, partial funding are obviously there. I mean, I made a big issue about chasing the money, but the funding has to be there as a means to an end. It is not there as the end. So, of course, there are benefits of the funding, and I will talk about that later. Obviously, we're talking about collaborative. I say obviously, I haven't actually talked about this yet, but we're talking about collaborative European R&D. So we're talking about spreading the risk amongst a consortium. We're talking about access to new and different technologies and access to new and different business markets. We're working in Europe. And it might not just be European markets, it could be global markets, and I'll explain that later. It raises the profiles of the organisations. Supply chain development and security. I work, as I mentioned, in the road sector as well as some of the others. In the automotive sector at the moment, one of the big areas is Green Car Initiative. Talks about low carbon vehicles. We're all pushing in the same direction. And one of the issues that I was at a meeting yesterday, we're talking about research and development in the automotive sector and how very little R&D is undertaken by large vehicle manufacturers in this country. It's nearly all even those even those companies who sort of you feel are British companies, they're doing their R&D in Europe. Toyota do a lot of their European R&D in Europe. Ford I think is one of the few that actually undertake it here, and maybe a little bit of Nissan. But I was quite surprised how many of the large vehicle manufacturers and what they call the tier 1 suppliers undertake it in Europe. So if you're in that business and you want to be doing R&D, collaborative R&D, you possibly, if you're wanting to get into the big markets and you're wanting to get into the supply chain, it may be that you have to do it through the European collaboration. Staff development and interest, of course, support existing R&D departments and establish and bind expanded networks, which comes back to the supply chain, etc. What to fund? It's not your short-term new product development, and I'll explain that why in a minute. Not to enable your companies to survive, probably for the same reason. It's for knowledge generation that looks too much in the future for you to fund fully yourself, and it's things you cannot do alone. It's collaborative R&D. Right, what is it? Well, it's the European Commission's main funding programme for research in Europe, 7-year programme, over 50 billion euros worth of money over those years. Now immediately your SMEs, if there's SMEs here and in Europe, we thought of SMEs as less than 250, you'll say, well, hold on a minute, this isn't for us, this is billion-pound programmes, we're not playing in that game. Well, in actual fact, certainly the Commission have set a target of 15% of the budget to be spent on SMEs, and in the surface transport sector, which I work in, it's about 20% of the funding is given to SMEs. So wonderful opportunities. And it supports research in the selected areas, and I will explain that a bit more. 4 principal programs: cooperation, which is the bit that I'm going to be talking mainly about, collaborative research, a thing called IDEAS, which is really the European Research Council, for much more blue skies research, academic research, university research to apply direct into people. And this is about, talking about earlier on, technology transfer is primarily about transferring of people. And this is a follow-on from Marie Curie programme, where researchers, both academic and industry researchers, can travel around Europe. And capacities, research capacities, infrastructures, and there's some specific money for SMEs in there under a thing called cooperative research. This is the breakdown of cooperation programme. You'll see there that transport's 4.2 billion euros. That's surface transport and air transport. ICT is a massive programme, 9.1 billion euros. So NMP, nanotechnologies, materials and production technologies, is another large programme. It's important, however, that you do not just get focused on what the theme is there and say, well, I'm in ICT or I'm in information technology, I should go to the ICT programme, or I'm into road transport, I should go to surface transport. It doesn't work like that, because there's opportunities across the board. An example of that is Green Car Initiative, part of the European Recovery Plan at the moment. 500 million euros is being made available for funding in relation to that in R&D through Framework 7. Over 50% of that comes out of surface transport, but there are also calls in relation to that in ICT, for electric vehicles, environment, energy, and the NMP programme. So you need to be careful, and the best people to talk to are the national contact points.